It's a war. Can't take the dread anymore. No, we can't take the dread anymore. It's a war. No, we can't take the dread anymore. It's a war, but we've seen it all before. And now we know we can change it, cause that's why we were born. We know we are the ones that we have been waiting for. We are the ones Grandma has been praying for. So rise up, all you warriors of love, all you answers to the prayers of our ancestors from above. I can feel it in my heart. Can you feel it in your blood? I can hear the seventh fire calling us to welcome everyone. We have about a minute or so before we really launch in, but as you're logging in, invite you to add any contact information. Be nice to know where people are zooming in from. So I'm going to add that I am here in Atlanta. I'm going to try to put that in Atlanta. Yo veo la fuerza que todavía sobrevive a pesar de tu raza venerable. Yo respeto tus ritos, tus danzas, tus padres. Somos guerreros del amor y guerreros de la paz. Sí, no vamos a escondernos más. Somos guerreros del amor y guerreros de la paz. Sí, no vamos a escondernos más. Oh, we got people from Cleveland.
They say that history is written by the victors. But how can there be a victor when the war isn't over? The battle has only just begun, and Creator is sending his very best warriors. And this time, it isn't Indians versus cowboys. No, this time, it is all the beautiful races of humanity together on the same side, and we are fighting to replace our fear.
All right.
And this time, bullets, arrows, and cannonballs won't save us.
That's my favorite line. Welcome, everyone. We'll have to post some of the pieces we use to get us started, but this is a fast hour. It goes by pretty quickly. I'm Dr. Deetra Hawkins. I'm going to start sharing my screen so you can see my slides. We are here to talk about power and how we can get grounded in our purpose and refocused. And I promise this session to actually be not just me talking, but actually interactive. So we anticipate having a few breakout rooms. We have a poll we'll be launching, and we're excited for everyone who is here and here with us live. So we're here to talk about how we can harness our power. One of my favorite things to think about is, where is your circle of influence? And so many people here want to welcome you because you're bias disruptors. You are people who want to see change in our country. Our professionals and managers and advocates and hope dealers, as we like to say at different times. And we're just super excited that you are joining us today, and looking forward to being able to have a really great, engaging conversation. So I have been doing work with systems and organizations for many years. I think of myself primarily as a facilitator. I love qualitative research over just doing quantitative research. I think that both of them need to go together, because when we build it from lived experience, we actually get good information. I am a licensed clinical psychologist, and I often tell people I don't do what I was trained to do. One of those things is that I really do believe people. And I also believe that it's really important that we find ways to create healing and be responsive and not just be in crisis. I'm a mom, and hopefully I don't know about you, but the summer is here. So the kids are home and disruptions can be, unpredictable again. But happy to have my daughter and to be married and also to identify as a Black Catholic, um, because that's part of where I get my strength, all of those different areas, with my family, with my faith, and with the legacies that we have that are more than I can go into today, but want to just sort of allude to that. I use the pronouns she and her, and one of the things that we're excited about is really helping to share a visual framework for implementing both and, for really being able to talk about how we can do more than be in the binaries, but actually think about those continuums, and that all of us are really interested in being effective. Like, who doesn't want to do a good job, right? Like, we all want to be effective, and many of us want to be seen as fair, right? We want to be seen as being respectful and kind and caring. And so today I thought it would be important for us to talk about power, because a lot of us sort of experience power as coercive, right? A lot of us are wondering what's going on in our country. And so it's helpful, I think, for us to take some time to explore, one, our relationship with power, how have we experienced it, seen it, understood it. Um, Also to start to practice and look at how dialogue, which is different than debate, can be a tool for helping us to heal. Want to give you permission to really pay attention to what your circle of influence is and where you do have power, where you have influence, where you can be with others instead of these expectations that dominant culture might kind of pull us into. And I want us to be thinking about ways that we can navigate challenges. One of my suggestions for that is to learn how to flip a challenge, flip a question, um, in the direction of what is true, good, and possible. Okay, using what we think of as an appreciative inquiry approach. So one of the things we know when we do this work is we shouldn't go alone. So I want everybody to, my team, to say hello.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth and look forward to connecting with you all here today. I will keep it short and sweet, but am grateful to have been connected into Both And Partners and to Dr. Dietra in this work through a group in Cleveland, Ohio, the Cleveland Dinners, that host monthly equity dinners. So it is wonderful to be here with you all this afternoon.
Hi, I'm Tony Etheridge, and I got connected with Dietra through the recovery community. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and we met, and I started working with her about 8 years ago, and it's evolved into a full-time job, and she keeps me very busy, and I am grateful to be here with all of y'all today.
We're grateful to stay busy too, because this is important work. And I am grateful to have Tony and Elizabeth with me, and there are a number of other consultants that work with us. So at different times you'll have a chance to meet them. When we do this work, we like to get grounded, and so we're going to start off by inviting you to sit back and take in this poem.
Together, we will create brave space, because there is no such thing as a safe space. We exist in the real world. We all carry scars, and we have all caused wounds. In this space, we seek to turn down the volume of the outside world. We amplify voices that fight to be heard elsewhere. We call each other to more truth and love. We have the right to start somewhere and continue to grow. We have the responsibility to examine what we think we know. We will not be perfect. This space will not be perfect. It will always be what we wished it to be, but it will be our brave space together, and we'll work on this side by side. This is by Mickey Scott Bay, inspired by Beth Strano's work.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you, everyone. For me, this is important, and there are probably some different words that stand out to you here. But one of the ones that's resonating with me today is this idea of calling each other to more truth and love. And so I just want to thank you, one, for showing up and being willing to get into these conversations. So we like to get an idea of what wisdom is already here in the room and what questions you might have. So we're going to launch a poll to get an idea of some different topics that all of you may be aware of, be interested in, and especially might even be able to teach yourself. Has the poll been launched? All right. As it would be, I am unable to see the poll, so Tony and Elizabeth, you'll need to walk us through how it's going.
Sure. So we have 10 questions here, and the first is about critical race theory. The second question is around implicit and explicit bias. The third is around system transformation. Fourth is dominant culture. Fifth, intersectionality. LGBTQIA and allyship. Cultural humility. Digital communication and accessibility. And leading real change. It looks like we have about half of the folks have responded, so we'll give it another minute or two. Couple more folks to complete it, and then Deidre, you can close it out and share the results. About 5 or 6 more folks.
Well, once y'all have it, you can share it because I can't see the screen.
Elizabeth, can you see it? Okay.
I can see it. Can everybody else here see the poll? Okay, thanks, Justin. All right, so it looks like majority of folks are interested in exploring critical race theory a little bit more. Implicit and explicit bias, interested in exploring was the majority response. Some folks need some more information was our number 2 response there. System transformation, opportunity for more knowledge and learning there. Dominant culture, we're kind of split. Some folks said they have enough information, but the majority seem to need more and are interested in exploring a little bit deeper. Intersectionality, pretty much split between I need more information and I'm interested in exploring. LGBTQIA and allyship, overwhelmingly need more information and interested in exploring. Cultural humility, definitely need more information on cultural humility. Same thing with digital communication and accessibility. Leading real change also, I mean, the great thing is folks are interested and there is opportunity to learn more. Overwhelming. Transactional versus transformational leadership is number 10, and it's pretty close there between I need more information and I'm interested in exploring it. So lots of opportunities to dig deeper into all of these topics.
All right. Well, that, we recognize that there's a lot of different things we could talk about and share. And that I think it's helpful when you can see that there are others who are just as interested as you are in these different topics. So thank you for that. And where we land with this. So one of the ways that I like to work is to hear from my team and others on things that make a difference for them. So I've invited Tony to introduce this piece to us, and then we're going to invite you into a breakout room to have a little conversation.
Thank you, Deidre. I was introduced to this wheel several months ago, and it really helps me as I see that the closer I am to the center, the more power and privilege I have. Initially, I thought all my privilege came from just being white. Now I see that I have 7 attributes closest to the center, really that defines how much power I really do have. And I was unaware, very unaware. For example, I'm heterosexual, I have a post-secondary education, I own property, I'm able-bodied, I'm a citizen, and I am white. There's more to privilege and power than just being white. Conversely, in my mental health, I can swing between mostly stable to vulnerable and in pain, making me somewhat marginalized. I've experienced the pain of stigma and discrimination. When I found this wheel, it was startling for me because I came to the realization of what real power I really have. I would commend this to you. It's been very helpful to me, and for me to really be able to drill down on how much power that I do have. Thank you, Deetra.
Thank you, Tony, so much. So it takes a lot to share, and I know it's been a journey, and I think it's always helpful. So Tony brought this wheel to me and said, we got to use this. So that's what we're doing. I have posted a document. I hope that you're able to open it so that when you get into the breakout rooms, you will still be able to see the wheel. And we want to invite you to share with one other person. What kind of power do you have? Looking at the chart at the wheel, what would be your story? You'll only have a couple minutes or so. We'll do a 5-minute breakout. What happens in the breakout rooms is not recorded. So that is a safe space for you. And if you need any help, let us know. So we'll see you back here. Tony, are we ready to go? No, not yet. We got people coming in and out. So we might have to do more than 2 people in a room, but we want to make sure you have a chance to just tell a story and think about what kind of power you have. All right, rooms are opening up. Where is the pause? Well, welcome back. Welcome back. So thank you first for doing that stretch with us, as we're wanted to make sure we had an opportunity for you to talk to someone else. Love for you to add in chat. What came up? What did you notice about the Power Wheel? That conversation? Is this something you've ever seen before? Are you familiar with it? What's it like to be thinking about being closer to the center? People you know who might not be? Yeah, so it, like in their pieces, what's missing? Or we could add more. Context matters, absolutely. Yeah. What else came up? Yeah, maybe thinking about the connection between power and privilege. So I think the goal that comes out of this is recognizing how the interplay of all of that, the intersection of it. I think it's really amazing to have these conversations. Yeah, and maybe what was it like to connect with somebody? Yeah. Love that. I'm already seeing your personal connections. Okay, it might only be some areas, but hadn't thought about it. This is great. Yeah. And where was age? Okay. Yeah. It is work. It is work to navigate through this, and that there's so many different dimensions that we want and need to be able to think about. So I'm going to share with you another piece. I'm sharing my screen. I'm sharing my screen. Okay. So I was introduced recently to the work of Dr. Eisler, and one of the things that she talks about that I think is something we all just need to know is that we are wired as people to care, to connect. Okay. We have to be taught all the other things. So the way I think about this is, anybody get frustrated when people rubberneck? Okay, let's just be honest. We're like, why are you doing that? Come on, keep going. All right. Well, this is the flip on that. We rubberneck because we care. We're attending to. Okay. So it might give you a little bit more peace to not be so mad at people that they actually are wondering. They're like curious, because it's a natural instinct. This is what we do. So I share that to just bring the point of this slide into focus, that we have some cultures that are very much in this dominator model, right? And in the dominator model, it is about power over. There's a lot of fear and control, right? Force and violence. There's a focus on conformity. You see a lot of hierarchy, male superiority. Violence is normalized. Does that feel like something we know that's going on right now? And a focus on European history. In her studies, Dr. Eisler has helped identify that that's not the way it has to be, okay? That we also can have power with, and that there are communities, countries that have this, that there's trust and alliance and empathy, right? That we can respect nature. My favorite is the ability to question the status quo, just to raise the question, just to be able to ask. That we have the power to do that is important. Thinking about peace as being normalized, and a focus on a multicultural history. So we want to expand your conversation now, and I want you to think about, like, what has been your experience with power from this perspective? Has your, how have you seen power used either for care, creativity, or cruelty? So we're going to give you another opportunity in a breakout room to have that little discussion, and then we'll come back. Room. Dr. Bacon is here.
Who is
All right, welcome back. And I'll invite you in chat to share some highlights and maybe even some gratitude to your group for their bravery and sharing. So I'm sure there's a lot of bravery in that. Are y'all hearing me? Because I think I'm a little bit delayed. You can hear me? Okay. There we go. Yeah. So I would not be surprised, right, if most of us are have primarily experienced dominator model. I'm curious to know if anyone was aware that there was a different way. Okay.
I see a hand up.
Okay,
Lisa's
yeah,
hands up.
Lisa.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just want to say I put it in the chat, but I'm not so sure that Ellen can see it. And I just want to, if she's listening, her and her friend who she's visiting at a skilled nursing facility, want to thank her for being a friend, a good friend, and modeling just what friendship is when somebody else is down and out. So thank you, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa and Ellen. I see lots of love in the rooms with each other. So thank you for that, and just leaning in. Again, thank you for your vulnerability, because these are not always the easiest things for us to talk about and just be aware of. And yet, that is actually why I wanted to bring that up. I think we need to know when we talk about power that there is a different way, that it does not have to be just the dominator side. And I'll say from my own experience that when I only think about the cruelty side, when I only think about power from the dominator side, then it has made me want to not see myself as powerful. Okay. And yet we need to see ourselves as powerful, right? That we have influence, that we have the ability to make change. We need to be able to embrace the resilience. And for me, I need to honor my ancestors who have, sacrificed and done all the work, all the imagining so that I can be here. So today, that was part of this focus, is to just acknowledge that we have to find a way to shift our vision, shift our views, and then also to have some conversation, right? To learn how to be in dialogue with each other and not just be in debate. So thank you for that. Amazing group, amazing what can happen when we just show up. So what I often like to do is make sure that people have seen this diagram, because I hear this all the time. We need to have a robust debate so that we can bring people together. Okay. Debate does not bring people together. There is an absolutely important role for debate, but we need to know what it's for. So one of the diagrams here talks about if we're looking to create cooperation, then we need dialogue, right? If we are working toward competition, then we're going to have debate. When we're trying to do things that are moving in two different directions, right? The two direction focus, you can have dialogue and debate because that's it, involving more than one person. But when it's one way, it's either discourse or it's a diatribe. And we know lots of people who go on a diatribe that are being competitive. Okay. So little bit of information there. I think that's important. And then I think this other little chart with the triangle is helpful, because we can think about, are we focused on we? Right? That's going to be dialogue. And one of the things to do to move in that direction is we have to have a shared purpose. That's when we're talking about serving and learning. But if we're focused on winning, then that's going to be debate. And that's about you and me. Okay. And what's in the middle is discussion. So my team and I, we're going to go through a chart that we hear over and over again. Oh, this is just so helpful. So I think it's important that we always take time to listen to the difference between dialogue and debate. Again. And so Elizabeth, you want to take dialogue, and Tony, you'll take debate?
Mm-hmm. Dialogue is collaborative. Two or more sides work together toward common understanding.
Debate is oppositional. Two sides oppose each other and attempt to prove the other wrong.
In dialogue, finding common ground is the goal.
In debate, winning is the goal.
In dialogue, one listens to the other side in order to understand, find meaning, and find agreement.
One listens to the other side in order to find flaws and to counter its arguments.
Dialogue enlarges and possibly changes a participant's point of view.
Debate affirms a participant's own point of view.
Dialogue reveals assumptions for reevaluation.
In debate, defends assumptions as truth.
Dialogue causes introspection on one's own position.
Debate causes critique of the other position.
Dialogue opens the possibility of reaching a better solution than any of the original solutions.
In debate, we defend one's own position as the best solution and excludes other solutions.
Dialogue creates an open-minded attitude, an openness to being wrong, and an openness to change.
Debate creates a closed-minded attitude, a determination to be right.
In dialogue, one submits one's best thinking, knowing that other people's reflections will help improve it rather than destroy it.
In debate, one submits one's best thinking and defends it against challenge to show that it is right.
So, what do you think? Who's good at debate? How much do we in our culture support dialogue? So I wanted to make sure I gave you all a few tips on what we can do to support, one, being in your power, right? And two, using the skills of dialogue. And one of those is truly to just hold space and listen for 2 minutes without interrupting someone else. That we call that a dyad often in the work. And it's amazing to just invite someone to tell their story, to hold space, and to just actively listen without disrupting them. So that's a strategy to be practicing. Another strategy is to learn how to invite people to share a story with you. To not just look for facts, not just look for like, give me the evidence, right? But actually to invite people to share their story. So you can interrupt what someone is saying by saying, you know, I hear you, especially when they are on that diatribe kind of place and they're trying to win. And I want to hear a story about what do you want to see happen? What could possibly help, right? These are things that we can all do better with, of imagining what is possible and really stretching in that direction. What we also know is that a lot of people try and do training on, right, like microaggressions or bias or being anti-racist. And I think I heard in some of the rooms, but what is that resulting in? Like, what are we actually doing with any of that? How do we actually take what we're learning and put it in practice? So we wanted to make sure that we invite you to use a framework. And I'm going to try and use a new tool on Zoom, which is called a whiteboard. And we're going to see how this goes because, you know, we're using new things. In a session I did before I allowed, we actually went and I used a physical whiteboard. We're going to use the Zoom whiteboard. Oh, I love this from George, right? Maybe we can have a presidential dialogue instead of a debate, or maybe we could think about having town hall conversations. And if any of you all are familiar with some of our work, this is why we do dinners, right? Bringing people together to talk and connect and actually have a conversation. So, yeah, I agree. We would sign up. So this is what's cool. What we have here in this screen is our framework. And in the center, we talk about being an appreciative leader. The 3 anchors for our work are helping you think about your purpose, really taking time to come up with your day-to-day practices, like what do you do to put that in place, and then stretching into our possibilities, especially when it comes to policy. Now, most of us start off thinking about the importance of data. What I'm going to say is that data comes at the end, and that what we really want to start off with is an appreciative audit instead, okay? That appreciative audit is what we just talked about, asking what's working, what would you like to see be different, and actually engaging people in a conversation. The other thing that we understand is that a lot of people think that we need to have policy, okay? Policy in this framework is going to go here. And then another question we get is like, well, what about the money? We start here. So all of these things you'll notice actually start at the end. And what we want to think about is aligned with possibilities and with data is asking people what gives them hope first. I'm working a little bit backwards here. The other question we ask people is what could be better? And more often we try to invite people to talk with us about what helps them. Okay. So in doing this work, and actually I think I have to see where there it is. What's working? Okay. In doing this work, what we know makes a big difference is actually having time to be able to talk with people about the things that will help build their confidence, right? That help reduce burnout and can break apart silos. Because ultimately we need to not be alone. So part of the ways we break the silos is to invite other people in. We need to find ways to stay motivated. And we're looking for spaces where we can be brave, courageous, fair, and have a space for belonging. So to do some of that, we want to encourage people to find ways to engage their stakeholders, to build a team, which comes over here, and to do visioning. What I haven't put up here, and this is fun to figure out how to do this, is actually talking about the foundations. And that we need a foundational experience of being heard and believed, which is what you just did. And we need to have the ability to practice the skill of facilitation. And so we put that here. So I'm sharing the framework because if we're trying to reclaim our power, I want you to know that there are easy things that you can do by learning how to ask these 3 questions to start off with, and taking time to engage with what is your purpose? What are the kinds of things that you can do to be actively working in a power with instead of power over? And what gives us hope when we start thinking about, oh, do we really have to operate in a world of cruelty, or can we work and understand that, oh, that rubbernecking is actually because people care, right? Actually, people do care. All right, so I'm going to close that whiteboard. Anybody use the whiteboard and Jamboard in Zoom before? This is a new one for us, so we're excited to be trying to bring this to you and share that. From what I've shared, I'm curious about what questions you might have. And if you are familiar with that power piece at all. All right, yeah, so we modeled the whiteboard, there we go. So when we're navigating challenges, this is a common challenge that people bring to us, which is data paralysis. Ever heard of that, right? That there's a lack of resources or policy doesn't let us do that. And so I just want to bring us back to the partnership model of power, that we want to invite people to think about and say that, yes, we can ask questions, right? We can study everybody's history, that we need to find ways to embrace that all of us have different experiences with power and actually invite people to share those stories. So we can do that by getting grounded in our purpose, taking time to do that. Again, using a framework, this might be one. We have a leadership cohort that we would like to invite you to sign up for our wait list on. And that when we think about power with, these are some of the things I think we could all be doing better, which is acknowledging our own lived experience, taking time to really listen to each other, and then learning how to disrupt discrimination, okay? Which means that we have to disrupt it in multiple different kinds of ways and not just in one way. So I believe Elizabeth has posted a link so you could join our equity leadership cohort. And what we're envisioning there is 12 weeks to work with a group like this, 1 hour a week with some content that allows you to have time to practice and get support. because we often do a lot of training and then you don't have support, or we often see programs that engage you for an entire year. And so this is meant to be more time limited, but also give you time so that you are not burned out. And I was just going to invite Elizabeth to share a few notes from some of what people have said in participating.
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Dutra. So I think a couple of you have been through our Foundations of Racial Healing course and possibly our training of facilitator, our 4-day training of facilitators. If you have been through, I would love to invite you back in and come through again. If you haven't been through, I invite you all in. I got connected to this work, as I mentioned, through Cleveland Dinners, and then started showing up for some of the workshops. And I was nervous to show up. I was like, I'm going to say something stupid or inflammatory. And who am I going to be in a room with? And I was so pleasantly surprised that it was a brave space where I felt supported and that my story was valid and it was heard and welcomed. I didn't feel shamed at all for some of the things that I felt were my own shortcomings on my respective journey. It is a space where we invite people to stretch. So it does get tender. The topics can be difficult, but we do share that that's really where the growth happens. And if you've been through any of Dr. Dutra's workshops and experiences, it's very much in this same spirit of conversation, breakout rooms, places to share your stories, videos, as well as content. So just wanted to invite you all into the community. We have our next Foundations of Racial Healing course coming up in exactly a month, in the middle of July, and I will drop the link in chat for anybody who would like to sign up. And again, I've gone through this and I am blessed to be able to facilitate this workshop now. And every single time I learn something new and hear somebody else's story. So don't think, oh, I've already been, I know everything, I've already done it. I promise you, if you show up for a second or third time, you're going to learn something new. So we are excited about it and hope to see many of you in July. And I will drop the link in chat for registration.
So for the here, we would really love for you to put your name and a number from 1 to 10 in the chat. And I have a number in my head. We have a few books we're going to give away. And we hadn't figured out how we were doing a raffle. And okay, this is great. This is great. Okay.
Deirdre, would you please repeat what the number 1 to 10 was about?
Okay, this is how I'm doing the raffle in my
Oh.
brain.
Okay.
All right. So did everybody put their number in? I love it. All right. So the number was 4. How many people put 4 in? If you put 4 in, we want you to put send us a private message. We're going to be sending you this book. That is awesome. So we will also share with you a list of books that I've been recommending. We're just at a conference and we've been giving books away. So if you can make sure to send us a number, I felt like one person did say they had the number 4 in there. So close with 3, Veronica. This is awesome. Okay. So we're right on our time, and I want to really thank you for being here with us today, and participating in our little breakout conversations. We'll be sharing recordings of our information. Again, invite you to really take action. Visit us to share, participate, come to the Foundations training, join the wait list for the cohort. This is awesome. I love how we're like having everybody get support there. We want to make sure that we are also, if there can be a way that we can help you with some system transformation. I do a lot of coaching in that direction, so reach out. Everyone, I hope you enjoy your summer.
Dr. Deidre,
Yes.
thanks. Yeah, briefly before you go, how would you like that private message sent in the chat or email?
Yes, you can, if you want to put it in the chat or hang out and make sure Tony or Elizabeth get your information. Yep.
Oh, and by the way, I'm still holding on to my raffle ticket from the Discovery Leadership Summit.
I gotcha. That is lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you, George. Everyone be well. Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
I'll stop sharing if we want to play some music. Thank you, Zane.
James Lester, do you live in Warner Robins or in Macon?
I live in Macon.
Okay.
Oh, great. Tamika had 4. Okay. Perfect. We'll be able to send out.
If you want to put your address in the chat, we'll have it. Or do you want us to just send it to iHope?